It's been way too long since we've actually made a video about the Vancouver Canucks, and I apologize for that. It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. Because I went on a vacation the past few days, so I kind of had to pre-record videos, meaning that all the actual Canucks news and updates that we had gotten over the past few days I was not able to talk about. So what I wanted to do was take a look at a bunch of these things and cram it all into one 10-minute video because we've got a few things to go over, some of which are very, very important, others are exciting, and then we have even more pieces of news that are just kind of grab bag, tidbit pieces of information. Actually, you know what? Let's start out with that, because this allows us to ease into the conversation a bit more. We had ourselves news today that the Vancouver Canucks had partnered with the Kalamazoo Wings in the ECHL for a year. They are going to be the ECHL affiliate of the Canucks and the Abbotsford Canucks for 2023-2024. Now, I know what a lot of y'all are thinking, because I definitely had this same thought as well. Wait a minute, wasn't Kalamazoo already partnered with the Vancouver Canucks? And the thing is, that is the case. They were the Vancouver Canucks ECHL affiliate for a while, but recently they actually were affiliates with the Columbus Blue Jackets instead. This all happened with the pandemic, because when the pandemic hit, Kalamazoo actually did not play. They didn't participate in the 2020-2021 season. When they returned, according to the Wikipedia page, they switched their affiliation back to Columbus, and then they had signed a one-year extension till 2023. Nowadays, though, they're back with the Vancouver Canucks, and they're bringing a new partner in here in Abbotsford, which is definitely not the same as Utica. We always talk about how Vancouver and Utica had a weird relationship because Canucks players getting sent back and forth would have to travel across the gosh darn continent to come over. But ECHL to AHL was pretty okay. Michigan over to Utica, it was a lot better than any of these players going over to Vancouver. But now it's a little bit flipped, because Abbotsford and Vancouver are really close by. Meanwhile, the ECHL affiliate is the one that's a little bit further back. So we'll see how exactly the Canucks AHL guys are able to develop should they need some time in the ECHL. Kalamazoo is back on the menu here, boys, which is appropriate because they actually do have some really nice blue and green jerseys that they use sometimes. Jerseys, of course, in the Canucks colors. But speaking of jerseys, we also have ourselves some more conversations to have regarding Canucks jersey numbers, because earlier last week we had ourselves the news that the Canucks gave 3 jersey numbers to 3 of their new players. Here's the tweet from the other day that got a lot of people, let's just say, talking about it. You have Carson Soucy, who was given number 7, Teddy Bluger, who was given number 53, and Ian Cole, who was going to wear number 28. Now, before we talk about why this was a really big deal, Carson Soucy taking 7, okay, interesting to see another defenseman with the lower numbers. We're very used to that, honestly, so it's not really too big of a surprise. Teddy Bluger taking Bo Horvat's old number 53 is hilarious. I love it. It's a big, I don't want to say slap in the face, but it's Teddy Bluger going out there and saying, yeah, I know what I'm here for. And this is my number. I don't care who wore it in the past. Bo Horvat might have been your old captain, but it's a new era in Vancouver. I feel like the Canucks, being in a position to allow this to happen, have some sort of a tongue-in-cheek say in it as well, so that definitely does tickle my funny bone a little bit. But the one number that got a lot of people intrigued was number 28, Ian Cole. The reason for that is because 28 was last worn by Vancouver Canucks young guy Luc Bourdon, who unfortunately passed away in a motorcycle accident whilst as a member of the team. He was a young Canuck. When he passed away, he was only 21 years old, and I think a lot of people who remember the prospects and the storylines back in that time frame, they recognize that there was a lot of potential with Luc Bourdon. He was taken top 10 in the 2005 draft for a reason. He was supposed to be this really good player. It's just extremely unfortunate that fate took away that opportunity for us to see that. But because he had passed, nobody in the Vancouver Canucks organization had worn number 28. It was unofficially retired, taken out of circulation, as was number 37 with Rick Rippon, number 11 with Wayne Mackey. Of course, we're not going to talk about the bald guy who came in and changed that entire narrative, but Ian Cole took number 28. And we saw immediately a big social media backlash saying, okay, what's going on here? Like, I thought this number was out of circulation. And a few days later, we had ourselves an update from Ian Cole himself. Here's the statement on the Canucks Twitter page. When I signed with the Vancouver Canucks, I was asked what number I wanted. I responded that I would love to wear the number 28, the number I've worn on my jersey since I was 12 and basically my whole pro career. When the selection was made public, I found out the significance of the number. While I did not know Luke, nor did I know he wore number 28 with the Canucks, I certainly remember his heartbreaking story and tragic passing. Out of respect to him and to honor his memory, I have decided to change my jersey number to 82. And there are a few things about this. Of course, firstly, awesome for Ian Cole to go out there and do something out of respect to Luc Bourdon. He's a classy dude for being able to do it in this way. Secondly, when it comes to the Canucks social media backlash, I've been seeing a lot of people saying, oh, why do we need to, honor this? Why is it important? Because the guy only played 36 games with the Canucks. It's not like he was a lifelong vet. Should we go out there and take numbers out of circulation for anybody who had passed away? What about Pavel Dmitri? And this is where the conversation gets a little bit difficult. Because at the end of the day, no matter how you feel about Ian Cole taking 28, having that be appropriate or not, the fact is, he didn't know. And of course, Ian Cole's not a Canucks fan. He's not going to know all the lore that we all do when we're paying attention to who chooses what jersey number, etc., etc. If anything, this is the fault of the Vancouver Canucks for not alerting Ian Cole that this even was a thing. Sure, I get it. 15 years ago, Luc Bourdon passed tragically. It's been a decade and a half, so maybe there are some people in the organization that aren't familiar with it. But the fact that this standard has been held by the Vancouver Canucks for such a long time, and they seemingly forgot to let Ian Cole know, kind of puts them in a bad spot. It puts the Canucks in a position where it's like, okay, well, why did you allow this to happen? If you acknowledge that this was a tradition you were upholding, you acknowledge there's some history behind the number, wouldn't it have made sense to let the guy know before this entire thing goes public, before social media gets stirred about with conflict as to whether or not it's a good or a bad decision to allow him to keep that number? When it comes to Cole himself changing it, that's fine. Him going out there and doing something to honor Luc Bourdon's memory and make a statement about it, good on the guy for doing something he definitely didn't need to do. But I'm just saying, if you're going to go out there and uphold jersey numbers to a standard where they're not allowed to be used, it's on the Canucks to uphold that privately. And to tell players, okay, Ian Cole, yeah, number 28 is a number that we may not have available to you in the same way other teams have had. Here's what happened, Luc Bourdon, etc., etc. And then you'd be like, okay, if he's as cool of a guy as he appears to be in this statement, then he probably would have decided to take 82 in the first place. Who really knows? But at the end of the day, when it comes to Ian Cole, he made a good decision, I would say, based off of something that he feels himself he needed to do. And I don't want to go out there and say that, oh, it's the woke media mob that made him change his number. Come on. Look at this statement. That doesn't look like a guy who was forced to change his number. It looks like a guy who's saying, yeah, I didn't know. And now that I do know, I'm going to change my number, which I can live with. But at the end of the day, the Vancouver Canucks need to be a little bit more careful when it comes to acknowledging these types of things, because the last thing we would want is another Mark Messier, Wayne Mackey situation, now wouldn't we? When it comes to the last piece of information that I wanted to talk about in this video, though, it's a short piece of news. Vancouver Canucks have re-signed Nils Hoglander to a 2-year contract with an AAV worth $1.1 million a year. And that's pretty good, honestly. When it comes to Hoglander and how he has developed the past little while, we all remember that during the North Division season in 2020-2021, he was very good. He was this feisty, quick winger with some bite to his game, and unfortunately, as the years went on, it kind of felt like the Canucks rushed his development a little bit, to the point that now, in 25 games and 22-23, he had 9 points. He was mostly in the AHL, and he actually did look pretty good, refining a lot of his offensive poise while down there. So, since Hoglander is still pretty young, he's only 22 years old, there is a good opportunity for him to maybe solidify himself as a middle to bottom 6 forward in next season's worth of play. Obviously, we know the Canucks have way too many wingers. Just naming them off the top of my head here, you've got Kuzmenko, Besser, Garland, Pearson, Mikheyev. Who else? Bavillier. That's 6 wingers right there. That's 3 lines worth of wingers. That's not even including Hoglander and Podkolzin. So there's going to be some opportunity, hopefully, as other guys get traded away. So if a guy like Hoglander is able to come in and fill in that middle six spot proactively and in a way that actually promotes development, then that's ultimately what we want to see the most. And he's got 2 years to show us that he's capable of that. I think he is. It's only a matter of time before Nils Hoglander pulls off a Michigan goal in the NHL, isn't it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all this Canucks stuff that I decided to catch up on in one video because I just got back from a trip. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Kalamazoo Wings, the Ian Cole jersey situation, as well as Nils Hoglander. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.